invitations. And for those of you who don't know this about me, I am a projector in human design, which means that my strategy is to wait for invitations. And while I have learned over the last 4 or 5 years of studying human design how to find my own invitations so that I don't get stuck when I want to take action, I still have a special place in my heart for being literally invited to do things because it just makes it that much more activating and exciting for me. So if you have anything that you want to hear from me, please request an episode. I've done the engagement strategist takeaway episode. I can't tell you what number that was, like 2 or 3, maybe more. 4 or 5 episodes ago. That was from Takshi. I always say your name wrong. I say everyone's name wrong. And this episode was requested by Audrey Whalen on Threads to talk about threads. And I actually had to give myself a minute to put together a strategy for this because I am someone that believes marketing is constantly an experiment. We're always experimenting with our marketing. We're always improving, testing, seeing what's happening. And Threads is very much that platform for me. But I have seen a lot of growth and a lot of traction from Threads as of Q1 2024. So that's where we're jumping off with this episode is how I've been seeing around 5 or more hot leads come into my DMs on Instagram from Threads the last 3 months, Q1. For those of you who do not know Threads, I'm a little shocked you're listening to a marketing podcast, and Threads is the newest Meta platform. It is Meta's version of Twitter, which is now X, which I can't believe people are actually calling it. But so Threads kind of came out the gate hot. What was that one that I loved and I wish I could have used? Clubhouse. I feel like Threads came in with a bang like Clubhouse, and it was kind of like, is this going to stay hot or not? And it had a dip. And for me, I was devastated because I live in Europe, and Europe has so many privacy laws and issues and whatever that Threads was banned in Europe about a week after it came out. So I got it, I was on it, established myself, started loving it, and then lost access. And I was checking it constantly, trying to see when am I going to get back on this platform? Is it ever going to come? And some people were saying it was never going to show up in Europe because they just have such strict rules. And finally, I want to say December, maybe it was November, Threads came back to Europe. And I know people were on it the whole time, but I feel like there's a second wave coming to Threads now of people who tested it, didn't care about it, or didn't even touch it because it was a new platform. Now coming to Threads and being like, what's the deal? I'm hearing so much. And a lot of people are starting to repurpose. I have been doing this myself as well, repurposing screenshots of Threads the way you used to do of Twitter posts, tweets. Wow. Screenshotting your threads and sharing them as carousels on Instagram. But yeah, so Threads, I would say, is going through a second wave, late Q1 2024, early Q2 2024 for anyone who's listening to this in the future. But it is a stream of thought platform. And I have talked to a bunch of people who have said they're past the point of stream of thought platforms. They would rather have edited content or just not risk the backlash that can happen when you're sharing your direct thoughts. And I get it, but I'm not that type of person. So stream of thought platforms are a preference for me, especially because the way that Threads is that it's just like tweets. You're just typing. People can add GIFs, people can add photos, whatever, but it's a lot faster to create content for, and it requires a lot of less work because it's not a platform that you want to be heavily edited on on Instagram. And I actually started this year thinking that I was going to treat LinkedIn the way that I am now treating Threads, but I'm not mad that I didn't get into LinkedIn because my problem with LinkedIn is I don't like consuming the content. And that's where on Threads, I actually really enjoy all the content I'm consuming on there. And the algorithm is good and it shows me people I'm interested in. That being said, as Threads is so new, it's not even a year old. There's no drafts, there's no scheduling, there's no DM feature. It's pretty bare bones in that you can write your thread, comment on threads, share threads, quote threads, reshare your threads onto Instagram or other platforms. And like that's all it really does right now. But it is very, very powerful at this moment. So I want to share 4 things that I would say make up my thread strategy, for all of you to listen to, take away, do with what you will, and maybe even test out the platform because I can honestly recommend it for any entrepreneur right now. It is taking off for it is helping people take off in ways that are similar to TikTok without the messy side of TikTok or the lots of content creation that TikTok required. So, the first thing I want you to do, if you're new, if you haven't posted, or if you've been posting but you're not getting in front of anyone, is to make a call out post. Maybe I'll link the one I did in the show notes, but a call out post is essentially that stereotypical post. I want to say like the first time I really saw them was on TikTok. I never saw this on Instagram. But basically you make a post that says like I'm looking for, and you list the people that are dream clients to you. And all I can say about call out posts is to be as specific as possible about who is ideal to you. Because when I made mine, I want to say I got over 100 comments, like over 200 likes. And these are people who are going to follow you, get in front of you, like find you basically. When I made mine was pretty vague. Like I said, I wanted to work with Gen X entrepreneurs. I wanted to work with um BIPOC entrepreneurs. I wanted to work with Black podcasters. And it's like, I like these people, right? I love Gen X. They're my favorite clients. But I specifically should have said Gen X women coaches or Black service based podcast hosts, like being that much more specific because you will get everybody in those categories. So I got a lot of men who I just don't have the time for on threads. Whenever I get a comment from a man, it's always something bro marketer and I just flat out ignore them. I got a lot of product based businesses following me and commenting and like wanting to engage with me. And that's just not my niche. I can help in the terms of the remix. Honestly, with repurposing, I can help product based businesses. But when it comes to like the more marketing mentor side of me and like the content strategy itself, even product base isn't my area of expertise at all. So unless they're coming to me with a strong strategy that they want us to follow, I'm not super confident in working with them. But service-based businesses, coaches, consultants, service providers done for years, that's my bread and butter. That's my jam. That's what I live and breathe. That's what I also do myself. So those people I have no problem. But I wasn't specific in my call out post that I was only looking for like digital service-based entrepreneurs. And so I got everyone else and the ones I wanted, but everyone else as well. And there's actually a girl that I talk to now on Instagram that we became friends with. I want to say her handle's like Hannah B. But we both had call out posts at the same time. Hers was much more specific because she's into like the spiritual entrepreneur niche. And so she didn't like vary across of like, I want podcasters and content creators and authors, like mine were super broad. So I got a lot of randoms and I feel like hers were super niche, like entrepreneurs that like to blast Biggie Smalls while they're working, like really hitting into like the niche things about you, but also about your ideal clients. And you can make these posts several times. I've only done it once because I did get so much of the not exactly ideal people coming to me, but I think it is worth doing once to kind of blow your audience up and start getting in front of new people from the get-go. The next thing, and something that I don't see enough people talking about, I know, such a cliche saying, don't hate me for it, but using keyword searches. So Threads doesn't have hashtags. Honestly, I think hashtags are on their way out, but I like to go on the search feature of Thread and write in content repurposing. When I do that, every single post that mentions content repurposing shows up on my feed, in my search feed. I tend to look at the date because it doesn't show things chronologically. So you could be seeing posts that are really old, and I would say in that case it's not worth you commenting on it. But I will look for like any post from the last week, and there can be like tens, there can be 20s, there can be hundreds. It depends what keyword you're using, how often you're searching your keywords. I tend to search my keyword like every monthish. I would say like I remember about once a month that I'm like, I haven't looked in a while. And I will just go through and comment on the posts that I really strongly agree with, really strongly disagree with. And I also always find someone who's commented saying, I need this as a service. And so those people I will straight up like add to my leads list for my engagement strategist. I will um, follow them, comment on some of their content on Threads, follow them on Instagram if they look active, like straight up get in their DMs and be like, this is exactly what I do. Should we talk? Um, so if you're like, what can I use as a keyword? Like use something niche specific to your offer. So if you're a systems girly and you do like ClickUp builds or Dubsado setups, like you could literally search the word ClickUp and just start going through everybody's posts, everyone's threads, and seeing what other people are saying about ClickUp, leaving your 2 cents here and there. And I'm like, not saying to go in and pitch yourself on every post that someone's like, I'm having problems with ClickUp. Can you help me? No, I want you to go in. And if you see someone saying, like, this is how I use my ClickUp, I do A, I do B, I use it for C, then go in and be like, I love that. I also use it for this. This is my favorite feature. Like it's about providing value. It's almost like the old strategy for Facebook groups. I don't know if this is still relevant to Facebook groups because I haven't engaged in Facebook in a long time. But before, like, this is how I engaged in Facebook groups, was that I would go into a big Facebook group, I would search like content repurposing or VA or whatever at the time that I was doing, and I would comment on people's posts where they were asking questions to provide value so that they would see my handle, go back to my account, follow me, engage with me, ask me questions. And then people also start to know your name for your niche and tag you on things. Um, that's my third. That's my third one. That's my fourth one. We'll come back to that. Third one is about writing your own threads. I aim to post one thread a day. Generally, I miss Sundays. And generally, I do more than one a day. But my goal is to do one a day. And with this goal of trying to write at least one thread a day in the last 90 days, I have been averaging anywhere from 5 or more leads a month coming into my DMs on Instagram or straight up commenting on my threads post that they need me, and getting on sales calls. So it's definitely working. I would say that Threads does not require a huge output of content. It doesn't need to be anything mind-blowing. It doesn't need to be anything super niche. And it doesn't need to be you like hardcore selling your offers. My content tends to be a split between being an entrepreneur, podcasting, and repurposing based content. I'm in a lot of I follow a lot of my feed has a lot of podcasting related content, because that's something that I am myself am interested in, and I also comment on a lot of posts and feeds of people looking for guests. I actually just did a guest interview Monday? No, last week. I did it last week, for a show that I found on Threads, and so I kind of spend my time going around through there. I will say I want to say it was in January when I was still testing. I made a thread of my top podcast episodes and like little blurbs about each one. I got like 30 listens that day when I hadn't posted in 2 months, and I was getting maybe like 2 to 3 listens per day. I got 30 listens in one day from a Threads post. And I know it was a Threads post because that's the only promotion I did for my podcast. So promoting my podcast, talking about my podcast, dropping its name every once in a while, does do wonders for my podcasting numbers. And then just talking about being an entrepreneur and repurposing gets people interested in my agency. I do try to make sure that I'm sprinkling in at least one offer relevant post per week. And when I say offer relevant, I mean something that relates back to my framework, relates back to my strategy, relates back to my offer, not actually like this is the remix, this is how it works, this is what you get. I like to be a little more broad. So, like a post that I made yesterday was, I know everyone will tell you to have an offer that you market and not bend on it, and I love having that. I have my big fancy package, but I also love letting my ideal clients pitch me what they want and providing them custom quotes. The whole reason we don't do set deliverables at Belly Day Studio is because I know no two businesses need the exact same content over the month. So that was posted 12 hours ago. It's already gotten 4 comments. Um, and while I'm not saying like pitch me or this is my packages or this is what you can pitch me, I do talk about adjacently like this I accept pitches to my offer. And I haven't even described like what we do as content repurposers, but I mention like a core value of ours is no set deliverables. So it's an offer relevant post, and it gets people talking, and I'm hoping it gets someone to send me a pitch. We'll see. It's not even been 24 hours, but we'll see. Um but yeah, so I that's kind of like my main strategy for myself when it comes to my posts. And then the fourth thing that I want to share with all of you, and one of the biggest things that I think will affect your thread strategy, is how you engage with your feed. So, like on TikTok, the algorithm on threads is very quick to recommend what you engage with. So, if you're someone who likes comedy, likes celebrities, likes reality TV, if you start engaging with that, that's what your feed's going to be full of. So, I recommend you don't. If you wanted to, I would say to have a personal Threads account and a business Threads account, just so that you can keep your feed relevant to your business. But you'll see a lot of your followers' content on Threads. I see like the majority of my feed is my followers over like the recommended content. And the more that I engage with them, the more they pop up. I see the same people's threads all the time, and I'm happy to see them and I engage with them all the time. The best thing I can pass on to you when it comes to threads is to find places you can organically tag people in your community. Because when you start mentioning other people's names, they start mentioning your name. Like um I made a post about a podcast episode I listened to of Everything SEO, which is hosted by the Comma Mama, who is actually my content writer for the agency, but she is an SEO expert. She has so much knowledge on SEO. So I made a post that she had inspired me to turn my podcast episodes into blurbs to put on to my blog, because being stubborn, I wanted to only fully repurpose my podcast episodes. This is episode 79. I've done like 5 or 6 episodes. I'm just like so far behind, it's not even realistic to catch up. But if I was to do blurbs, it's much more realistic for me to maintain. Um, and so one of her podcast episodes talked about like different different types of blogs to share or something. And I made a thread commenting on it and I tagged her. She then made a thread, which she'd actually done an Instagram post for, I think last year, basically saying the email list that she reads every email from, and she tagged me. So I've gotten a bunch of email list signups from that. And then somebody posted something along the lines of, I wish I could just give someone my Zoom recordings and have them turn them into clips. And then all these people tagged me saying this is exactly what she does. And some of these people I didn't even know, but they saw someone else tag me, creeped my profile, and then started tagging me. I tagged Right Hand Glam in someone's post about struggling with Instagram engagement. That person ended up signing up for the Engagement Academy, her program teaching people how to be engagement strategists. Like, it's such a community vibe over there. It's such a like group chat that doesn't mind if you miss a couple days. So when you start giving back to that community, they will give back to you. So every time that I tag someone, whether it's in someone else's post saying I have questions about this, I have thoughts on this, like if someone says, "Hey, I'm starting a podcast, what should I do?" I have like 2 or 3 people that are podcast managers that I tag in every single one because it's the perfect post for them to comment on. I have thoughts on starting a podcast, but it's not my expertise, so I'm not going to like sometimes if the question's super specific, I might drop a thought or two, but I'll always tag the other people to like let them step in and take over, do you know? And same like systems, or if someone asked a question about Notion, I know that I would tag Debbie Does because that's her thing. She's great at Notion. I don't know shit about Notion. If someone asked about ClickUp, I would tag Systems with Sam. I don't know shit about ClickUp. I can use it, but I could not set one up. Like, there's just like there's there's so many openings to tag people when you're following other people in your audience, right? Like it's like the it's like the whole strategic partner things. I don't think I've done an episode on that, but basically like having partners in industries or niches that are very close to you, that their ideal client always needs what you offer. So like for me, Pinterest managers are my ideal strategic partner because Pinterest managers, their clients need to constantly be putting out content. But not all Pinterest managers are content creators. So if the Pinterest manager doesn't write blogs, doesn't create content for their clients, they can refer them to me, right? And that's how Threads works, is it's like a giant strategic partnership that the more you refer people, tag them, drop their name here and there, the more likely they are to drop your name everywhere on the internet. And you just get in front of more people, more people, more people. In the last 3 months, I've gained 500 followers. And I would say like the 100 that I've gotten on Instagram have almost all directly come from Threads as well. So obviously, I'm a little bit of a fan of Threads. If you're not using it, I do recommend it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You know that my DMs are open at FellyJ on Instagram. I am more than happy to clarify if I wasn't clear on anything because that would not surprise me. Um, and yeah, if you're not following me over there, please come find me. I would love to talk with all of you more about Threads. If I can help you in any way get connected or share your name on Threads, like, I will. So I hope to see you all there. And I hope you found this episode useful and helpful and that it's going to impact your Thread strategy. But that's where I'm going to love you and leave you all. I will catch you all next week on another episode of The Unprofessional Entrepreneur. And as always, don't forget to stay unprofessional.